Hey everybody, it's Mr. B here today, and I am here today to demonstrate and show you guys how we can look at and observe aerobic respiration specifically within our bodies. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to observe the effect of exercise on cellular respiration. But before we do that, I just want to go in and review what aerobic respiration is, and it is the chemical breakdown of glucose into cellular energy performed specifically within the mitochondria within our cells. This process looks to convert glucose into ATP or adenosine triphosphate. And again, this is a chemical reaction that occurs. So as a result of this, there's large amounts of energy produced, and it is performed in 3 steps or stages. The first is glycolysis, the second is the Krebs cycle, and the third is the electron transport chain. So an important thing to remember here is in this chemical equation here below, aerobic respiration is the process that has oxygen available. So notice that our inputs or reactants are glucose and oxygen yield to produce carbon dioxide, water, and ATP or energy. So again, aerobic respiration inputs are an important thing to remember, and it is glucose and oxygen. So aerobic respiration has oxygen available, so there's a large production of energy, and this oxygen is actually taken in through breathing. So we take oxygen into our lungs, and then we use this energy, and as a result, the products are carbon dioxide, water, ATP, and energy. And what happens is carbon dioxide is a natural molecule, but in overabundance, it can be harmful. It actually increases the acidity of our blood. So we actually remove CO2 through this process of gas exchange also in our lungs. So we take oxygen in and breathe carbon dioxide out. So specifically, one way in which we're going to be able to observe this process is during exercise. So what happens is when you exercise, your muscles need energy, and in order to get that energy, oxygen needs to be taken in through breathing, and we use that oxygen to get that energy, and then that energy is produced, and then carbon dioxide is a result, and it leaves through breathing out or exhaling. So some examples of aerobic respirational activities that people actually do on an everyday basis are things like walking, jumping jacks, hiking, or cycling. It's any sort of activity that requires your muscle to need energy and to intake more oxygen. So in today's lab, we're going to look at and measure the rate of carbon dioxide production as well as our breathing and heart rates in order to measure how much cellular respiration is actually being performed. And in order to do this, we're going to do this through 3 trials where we're going to measure CO2 production as well as our breathing rate and heart rates at rest or no exercise, after 1 minute of exercise, and after 2 minutes of exercise. So specifically, when we say heart rate, it refers to the number of heartbeats recorded over 1 minute. So how many actual beats your heart contracts or how many times your heart is contracting. And you can feel that by measuring your pulse here on your neck or your wrist. And we're going to look at how many times my heartbeat is going to go over 1 minute and then record that. The breathing rate refers to the amount of breaths or inhales and exhales performed in 1 minute. And then finally, carbon dioxide production is going to be measured through the use of the solution of prothymal blue or BTB, which is an acid indicator. So when CO2 becomes present in solution, it will change this solution from blue to yellow. So what we're going to do is actually measure how much carbon dioxide is present in that solution at rest, and then again after 1 and 2 minutes, as well as our breathing and heart rate. So the materials to run this lab are specifically, again, the test tubes here, which you notice I have labeled 0, 1, and 2. 0 representing no exercise, 1 minute representing the solution after 1 minute of exercise, and 2 after 2 minutes of exercise. The prothymal blue solution, my dropper, straws in order to measure how much CO2 is being produced, and then finally the iPhone or iPad stopwatch to measure determine how much time. Specifically, in order to run this, the first thing we have to do is measure our carbon dioxide production at rest. And we're going to do this by filling up a test tube with tap water, and then we're going to add 8 drops of prothymal blue into that solution, and that solution should initially turn blue. And then we're going to use a straw and exhale or blow into that solution and add carbon dioxide to it. And we're going to measure how long it takes that solution to turn from blue to yellow, and then record our results in the table. Following that, we're going to count the number of breaths or inhales and exhales that you perform in 1 minute. So is equal to 1 breath. and we're going to count how many of those and then record that data in the table. And then finally, we're going to measure our heart rate, which is the number of beats in 30 seconds. And in order to figure this out, we're going to measure our pulse and take that number, and then after 30 seconds multiply it by 2 and record those results in the table. So once we've recorded our data for our rest sample, we're going to do this again after performing 1 minute of exercise. And the exercise is specifically going to be jumping jacks. So again, I'm going to perform 1 minute of jumping jacks and then test my carbon dioxide production as well as my heart rate and breathing rate, and then repeat this process after 2 minutes and record all of this data in the table. So this here is specifically the table that we're going to record the data in. So again, notice that there's the BTB change section in seconds, so how long it took that solution to change from blue to yellow, breaths per minute, which was our breathing rate, and then finally beats per minute, which is our heart rate. For the certain circumstances of COVID, I'm going to show you guys how this lab can actually be set up and conducted at home, and I'm going to run it and then show you guys the results, and we're going to talk about it and answer some questions.